More and more spreadsheet work is now being delegated to agents. An actuary may ask an agent to update an ECL model. An investment banker may ask one to refresh a valuation or rework a transaction model. A subject matter expert may ask one to clean up assumptions, formulas, and presentation. The productivity gain is real, but it creates a new control problem. How do we verify what the agent actually changed, whether the work is complete, and whether it introduced a new spreadsheet risk? Reading an agent's final message is not the same as reviewing the workbook. This is where Coherent Assistant Review comes in. Review adds an independent control layer around agent-driven Excel work. It captures workbook evidence, compares versions deterministically, audits potential spreadsheet problems, and coordinates an independent review and repair loop. The result stays with the workbook as a clear record of the work, findings, responses, and final outcome. There are two ways to use review. Collaborative review is designed for work that is about to happen. Coherent captures a trusted baseline. A person or an agent makes changes, and review verifies the resulting version against that baseline. Focused review is designed for a workbook that already exists. We can inspect the complete workbook, a specific sheet, or only the currently selected range. This is useful for targeted model assurance, control checks, or reviewing a high-risk calculation area without reviewing everything else. In collaborative mode, the deterministic comparison tells us exactly what changed between the two versions. In focused mode, deterministic workbook checks surface potential issues for factual verification and deeper review. Review is also agent agnostic. Customers do not need to replace the tools that they already use. They can continue using Claude for Excel, Copilot, or another editing agent under their existing subscription. We add a small system protocol. That protocol teaches the agent how to offer an audited workflow, how to log its work, when to stop editing, and how to hand control to Coherent Review. Because the workbook does not yet have an active review record, Claude gives me two clear choices. Audited review is recommended, but direct work remains unavailable when that is appropriate. I start a collaborative review. Coherent captures the pre-changed workbook as the trusted baseline and opens a file-native review record. The workbook is now ready for controlled agent work. Claude performs the requested edits using the customer's existing agent subscription. As it works, it logs concise work entries in the workbook record. When it is finished, it writes ready for review as its final workbook action. That final event is important. After the handoff, the editing agent must stop changing the file so the evidence remains stable. The handoff automatically triggers Coherent Review. No one has to export files, rename versions, or manually assemble evidence. Coherent compares the edited workbook with the captured baseline, removes changes to the review record itself, summarizes the real workbook changes, and independently checks the work against Claude's claims and the affected calculation paths. This separation matters. The agent that made the change is not the only agent judging whether its own work was successful. Here, review found issues that require attention. Each finding is tied to a workbook location and includes a plain language explanation of the risk. For a financial model, that can mean a formula that produces a wrong result, an assumption that is no longer connected to the model, an input without appropriate validation, or a change that does not fully satisfy the requested work. These are not generic comments about the agent's response. These are workbook level findings supported by the captured evidence. I tell Claude that the review has completed. Claude rereads the workbook record and sees the open findings. It does not mark them resolved itself. Instead, it repairs the supported issues and hands the workbook back for another independent verification. The second pass is deliberately narrower. It compares the repaired workbook with the previous reviewed snapshot and verifies the repair work rather than repeating the original broad review. Once the repair verification is clean, I tell Claude the review is complete one final time. Claude confirms that no open findings remain and submits review complete. That is a request to close, not an unchecked approval. Coherent validates the record and only then writes the authoritative review closed event. The result is a practical control framework for agentic spreadsheet work. Coherent can deterministically compare two versions of the same workbook and produce concise evidence of what changed. It can deterministically audit a workbook for potential spreadsheet problems. It then uses independent agentic review to interpret that evidence, verify repairs, and make the findings useful to the business. Customers keep the Excel agents they already use. Coherent adds the review, audit, and governance layer around them. For actuaries, bankers, and spreadsheet heavy teams, that means they can move faster with agents without giving up review discipline, traceability, or control.